After my toxic ex threatened my cat and broke my tooth in a fit of rage, I called my mom for help, crying, "I've been getting hit and I want to go home." Now I'm back with my family, starting to crush on a friend but is moving on too soon. I recently broke up with my ex-partner of 2 years because he stopped appreciating me. When I attempted to address this issue, it only seemed to deteriorate further, and he began distancing himself more. For the past 2 years, he did nothing for our anniversary, and for our 2-year milestone, we simply got ramen and went home. He also failed to do anything for my birthday, and when I had a birthday party the following day, I gave him months of notice and he promised he would stay and be there, but not even an hour into my party, he left without informing me, and I learned of his departure from a friend. Gradually, I pulled away and started observing that he was behaving differently than he used to, and we hardly went on dates. Before I broke up with him the first time, I tried to have a conversation, but he did not respond to my questions or say anything. He simply got annoyed and went to work. After discussing my feelings with some colleagues, I ended the relationship and sent him a message explaining how I had been feeling and how I tried to fix things. I conveyed my frustration that he seemed indifferent to our relationship. In response, he erupted in anger, cursing at me, calling me names, and stating that I was nothing and had nowhere to go. I ignored him because I was at work, and by the end of my shift, he was apologizing, claiming he did not mean what he said, professing his love and promising to improve. I realized I was foolish for taking him back, but it lasted only a week before he broke up with me again, and that was when I was truly finished with him. However, I do not understand why he changed, as I am generally friendly and shy. When we worked together, I met some of his friends, one of whom was a 27-year-old man. We began talking because my ex would often arrive late or not show up at all. After I stopped working with my ex, I started playing video games and my ex played with this friend as well. Eventually, they had a small argument and my ex ceased playing with him. Subsequently, I began using his gaming account, and one day he added me to play together, mistakenly believing I was my ex. We ended up playing together more frequently on our days off, and my ex was aware of this and did not object. Then one day, the friend added one of his other friends and he also thought I was my ex. However, the first man corrected him, saying I was his girlfriend. We all began talking and having fun, and when my ex came home from work, he asked whom I was playing with. I told him the truth, and he simply lay down and told me to enjoy myself. Before this happened, he had warned me to be careful around them because he referred to them as snakes. I did not sense anything sinister about them until my ex had to leave for work around 10 p.m. He gave me a kiss and left, after which they began asking me questions about my relationship with my ex. I was honest with them and shared everything about how we met and our experiences together. They revealed things I did not know my ex was telling them, like how we engaged in intimacy daily, how well I performed, and that he had shown one of them a nude photo of mine. He also made inappropriate jokes about his previous abusive relationships, crossing boundaries with their comments. This behavior caused me to start distancing myself, and when I questioned my ex about it, he evaded my questions and became angry, insisting that I favored them over him, despite knowing him for nearly 2 years compared to a few weeks of acquaintance with them. Ultimately, I decided to drop the matter, which I probably should not have done. Returning to the point when he finally broke up with me in March, I continued to talk to those friends to seek advice. They supported me, affirming that my ex's treatment was unacceptable and that I was known merely as his girlfriend. They encouraged me to talk to my family. I had my ex's initials tattooed on my hip and I covered it myself. When my ex found out, he exploded in anger. I then completely detached myself and moved into a separate room upstairs where I slept apart from him for 2 or 3 weeks. By the end of March, I was helping one of my ex's friends at work, and he instructed me to text him when I finished because he needed to leave. While I was helping him, my ex bombarded my phone with messages, which upset me. So I took my phone and began texting my ex, pretending to be friendly while catching him in lies. He claimed he never engaged in intimacy with his ex and lied about her working at a store when she wasn't employed there. Once I finished work, he called me and threatened to harm my cat, expressing intentions to break her neck or throw her outside. I hurried home to check on her, finding her safe though shaken. My ex was not home, so I stayed on the phone with my friends. Towards the end of the week, he began to be unkind again, prompting me to go out to relax. When he returned from work, he started bombarding my phone once more, demanding to know where I was and what I was doing. I lied, telling him I was helping his friend. At that point, I was absolutely finished with him. Eventually, he requested that I come see him so we could discuss our issues. When I arrived and we began talking, he exploded with accusations of infidelity, which I adamantly denied. I explained that I had not come to be yelled at and protested that I had broken up with him first, only to take him back under the promise that he would change. He had professed that our anniversary would be special and that he would buy me flowers, but that never happened. Now he was questioning why I was acting cold and distant with him. He had never listened to my wants or needs, and despite repeatedly telling him how his jokes affected me, it took him months to stop. After a period of silence, he asked me if I loved him, and I confessed that I did, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. He offered to work on our issues if I blocked those two friends because he believed they were responsible for our problems. I did not respond, and then he gave me an ultimatum. It was either him or them. If I wanted to stay with him, we had to do it one last time, so I chose them. The decision was painful and uncomfortable. When I told him to stop, he became furious and threatened to call the police on me because it was his car that I had been paying for over the last 2 years. I asked how I was supposed to get home after that, and he replied that it was not his problem. We began to argue, and he attempted to remove something from the hood to prevent the car from starting. I placed my hand in the way, and he started punching it. Once he stopped and got the part out, I sat in the car crying and shaking. I called the police, and when they arrived, he came out again to speak with them. They separated us to ask questions, and he did not file charges against me, nor did I against him. They allowed him to put the car back together and let me drive home. This occurred around 3 a.m. A little before this altercation, I had stopped talking to my ex's friend, but when I returned home, I attempted to break down the door because there was no actual door in my room. I fell asleep and was awakened by my ex shining his phone light in my face as he yelled, demanding that I leave and stating he had blacklisted my phone to prevent me from contacting anyone. He claimed to be filming for his own protection, and when I tossed my phone aside, he accused me of trying to hit him with it. When I stood up to retrieve it, he struggled with me for control, shoving me so hard that I hit my ribs on a dresser. In that moment, my phone slipped from my grasp, and when I picked it up and turned to face him, I felt his knuckles and his phone strike my upper lip forcefully. I heard a snapping sound and my mouth started to bleed. As I yelled and cried for him to leave me alone, his brother came upstairs, yelling at him to explain what had happened. When he looked at me and I removed my hand from my mouth, he told my ex to go to his room and calm down. Afterward, his brother returned with a bowl of napkins and water, checking to ensure I was okay. He apologized for how he acted and treated me, and throughout the day until he had to leave for work, he kept checking on me, asking if I needed anything and bringing me food and drinks. He told me to yell for him if his brother bothered me again, and I calmed down enough to text my ex's friend, telling him what had happened and sharing a photo. At that point, my ex's friend began communicating with me again, cautioning me not to lie to him and to avoid saying strange things. He asked for my ex's phone number, which I provided, and he told my ex that hitting women was unacceptable. He stated that if he or his friends did not hear from me that day, they would come to get me, and if my ex did not fix my tooth, there would be consequences. Around 4 p.m., my ex returned to my room, attempting to love bomb me and apologize, saying he set up a dental appointment to have my tooth fixed. After we had the filling done, he continued trying to be nice and affectionate, but I emotionally detached from him. I was done. This was the third time he had laid hands on me, and I could take no more. On March 30, I woke up, did my makeup, and he tried talking to me, asking for us to start over. He claimed he never intended to hit me and suggested we try for a child to resolve our issues. Before I left for work, I told him that no matter how angry I got, I never hit him and that I would never want to bring a child into a situation where I feared he could become violent with them. I left for work, while he spiraled into rage because I consistently told him I couldn't envision a future with him and I wanted nothing to do with him. In the second week since our split, he threatened to have the car towed. Thankfully, my manager was kind enough to send me on my meal break, and I sat in the car, weeping and texting my sister and brother, asking if my mother would welcome me back. They said I needed to ask her. Swallowing my pride, I called my father, and when he answered, I asked if my mom was home because I needed to speak with her. He went upstairs and woke her, saying, "Your daughter wants to talk to you." I could hear them arguing until he said my name, and then my mom said she did not want to talk to me, but he urged her to speak with me. When she finally took the phone, I broke down in tears, apologizing and acknowledging that I had made mistakes. I expressed that no amount of my efforts could remedy the pain I had caused, but I genuinely missed her and needed her. I promised that if she gave me another chance, I would never again prioritize a relationship over my family. I revealed that my ex had been physically abusive and I wanted to come home. Upon hearing that, she asked where I was and told me that my actions had deeply hurt her, but no daughter should be subjected to violence. She asked when I finished work and I told her I would be done at 10 p.m. She informed me that she and my brother would come to collect most of my clothes. Once my meal break was over, I returned inside, hugged my boss, and thanked her for all she had done. When my ex arrived to tow the car, I gathered all my belongings, using my coworker's car to store them until the end of my shift. At the end of the day, I bid farewell to my coworkers, hugging them goodbye and wishing them well. When I retrieved my belongings from my coworker's vehicle, my brother came out to help. I hugged him tightly and cried, apologizing for being a poor sister. We then went to my ex's house, collected my cat and the necessities, and I gained access to my bank account. I left with 200, although prior to this ordeal I had 1,400 after almost 2 years of hard work. While driving back to my original home, my brother offered to assist me financially if I would work with him. He would pay me for the cases I resolved. I initially declined, but he insisted, saying it was the least he could do to help. Eventually, I accepted the offer and have been assisting him ever since. Since returning home and confiding in my family about my relationship, I have recognized numerous red flags that I should have noticed earlier. Now I feel much happier and more energized than ever, and my friends, along with my brother and their mutual friend, are pleased to see me back to my old self. During this time, I began to develop feelings for my brother's friend. It began before I moved back home, and I am unsure if my emotions stem from our shared experiences or the commonalities we have together, but we genuinely share good laughs. I started to have a crush on him and he adores me as well. However, I worry that I may not be good enough for him or that he deserves someone better. I fear that I might be moving on too quickly and believe he should find someone closer to his age. Nonetheless, I feel jealous when he talks to other girls, and he notices my reactions and teases me about it. He is genuinely sweet and funny, making it enjoyable to be around him. Nevertheless, I am unsure how to navigate my feelings for him. He has expressed similar sentiments but prefers to take things slowly. My anxiety is overwhelming, and I find myself at a loss regarding what to do. I apologize if this does not make sense or if my phrasing is unclear. I am simply feeling confused and anxious. I do not know what to do. Story 2. Caught in the crossfire of teen romance at 17, my best friend Matt keeps getting guilt-tripped by Natalia. You hate me, right? After rejecting her romantic gifts, she's back with cryptic love posts like, why am I not pretty enough for him? Now he's uncomfortable and I'm torn, what should I do? Hello, my friend and I could really use some advice. I am in a friend group of 5. Initially, it was just my best friend Matt and me. Then 3 others joined, including Natalia. We had previously met her at a school event and followed each other on Instagram, but we did not interact much since we did not share any classes. Later, she started working on some school projects with Matt, and they became friends who began texting. After some time, Natalia began giving him gifts that had romantic undertones. Matt informed me that her messages became somewhat possessive, as she would get upset if he did not reply, despite the fact that he had never indicated to her that he was interested in her that way. Eventually, he stopped responding. I continued to follow her on Instagram, and she began posting love letters and indirect messages clearly directed at him. I became overwhelmed and unfollowed her. As time went on, we did not interact again until one day Matt felt guilty for ghosting her and sent her a message. They resolved their misunderstandings but did not continue communicating thereafter. Then Natalia and her 2 friends transferred into our class. At first it was awkward, but they ignored us and everything seemed fine. One week, half of the class went on a school trip and the remaining students, Matt, Natalia, one of her friends, and I, ended up playing games together. Suddenly, Natalia and her friends began joining us. It was actually pleasant, we all got along well and our group grew closer. Even though everything appeared to be fine, I remained uncertain. I did not believe that her feelings for Matt had just vanished. However, I decided to give it a chance. Matt and Natalia became close again. Occasionally, they hung out alone and Matt was always transparent about it. In contrast, Natalia never mentioned their time together in front of the group, which felt strange. I chose to overlook it. Then Matt began to notice her old behavior resurfacing. She would guilt-trip him for not replying, act distant, and say things like, "You hate me, right?" Matt is the type of person who takes hours to respond, which does not bother the rest of us, but it clearly irritated her. I hesitated to discuss it with Matt because I worried that I might be coming across as possessive. Then Natalia approached me for assistance with an art project. She wanted to sculpt a realistic heart in clay. It was endearing and I helped her. During a school activity, she unexpectedly showed me a list titled 20 Reasons Why I Love You with the word love crossed out. It was obviously about Matt. I maintained my composure and told her it was sweet. I later informed Matt and she subsequently showed him the same list. He also tried to act casual about it. Afterwards, she told him that she had a gift for him, very insistently, saying things like, "Hey, I have a gift for you," and "Hey, don't forget your gift," and finally sent him a picture of a black box with the clay heart inside. He panicked. We both agreed it was a romantic gesture, and if he accepted it, she might think there was still hope. Therefore, Matt decided to talk to her after a long period of feeling guilty about not reciprocating her feelings. She admitted that she never stopped having feelings for him but understood that he did not feel the same way and that she had gotten her hopes up by herself. They chose to distance themselves from each other. For a few days, Natalia and her friends began sitting elsewhere. She missed school and posted sad messages online, claiming that she brought this upon herself. Matt felt terrible, but I always reassured him that he was not being unkind, he was simply doing what he needed to feel okay. A few days later, we all sat together again. It felt awkward at first, but gradually things returned to normal. Matt and Natalia started hanging out again, and she even talked to us about her ex and asked for advice. Everything seemed relaxed. However, it is happening again. Natalia has been posting indirect messages such as, I still love him, why am I not pretty enough for him to like me, and I want him to love me. She sends Matt couple videos which he ignores, and every time we speculate that it pertains to him, she insists that she is talking about her ex. Matt is uncomfortable once more. He is uncertain whether she is still interested in him but is concealing it or if he is simply imagining things. Perhaps they became friends again too quickly. He does not know if he should talk to her again about her behavior or just stop interacting with her one-on-one and avoid couple jokes altogether. I do not want to abandon either of them. Matt has been my best friend for a long time, and I do care about Natalia, even though our friendship is more recent. Nevertheless, I feel that her other friends do not truly notice or care about how she is doing, and I want to prevent anyone from getting hurt. Has anyone experienced a similar situation? As a friend, what would you do? And as Matt, what would you do? Summary, my best friend Matt 17 and I 17 are part of a friend group that includes a girl Natalia 17 who seems to still be in love with him even though he never provided her with romantic signals. She has been intense in the past with gifts and messages, and although they talked and agreed to distance themselves, they became friends again and her old behavior is beginning to resurface. Matt is unsure if he should address her behavior or simply ignore it. I am caught in the middle and do not want anyone to get hurt. What would you do in my position as a friend of both and in Matt's position?